East East Side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. Right. Right, 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 right. Yeah. Turn it up. 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 I'm rolling backward and rolling up. Yeah. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. High nigga. Like the society nigga. Told the script of values. I don't need them anyway. I promise I'm fine with some brownies in me. Break the knob off the sound, please. Drown out all the bullshit. Out loud in the brown. Leave calming down all the shooters. I keep that hit it with me, watch me turn it up. If my niggas with me, then we turn it up. Did you miss a nigga never turning up? This ain't fiction, nigga, better learn from us. Getting pissy, nigga. Too much gas, too much liquor in me, maybe throwing up. Bunch of crippin' niggas, they gon' throw it up. I'm a fire starter, have it going up.
Okay, I am on today. Welcome to the High Yet PotCast. I am your host, Petrenko. I got Donovan to my left.
I'm not fucking Donovan, man.
The vodka, the good vodka is usually the white vodka, but we don't like white vodka on this show. We drink black vodka. Okay?
We drinking celery today.
We drink the good stuff, you know. I only do the good stuff for the country. You know?
I might need some headphones today, bro.
What's wrong? You can't hear
No.
at all?
Yeah, I can hear out this ear.
Oh man, this nigga right here to turn to Foxy Brown like.
Nah, I rap better. I rap better than Foxy.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
We gotta hear it.
What?
We're gonna freestyle at the end of this.
We gotta hear it. Nigga, I got a whole
hear it.
catalog. What the fuck you
Nah,
talking
that's
about?
old you.
It don't matter. Nigga, what the fuck? The fuck? Nigga don't say, oh, that's the old Jordan. What can you do now? No, nigga.
Yeah, old Jordan definitely ain't doing what he did when he was
Bruh.
23, baby.
So when we talk about the greatest basketball player of all time, we don't throw Jordan in there. We say, nah, that was the old Jordan.
Well,
He can't do that shit today.
Well, you know, before, if you would have asked me that in like 2008, 2014, when I used to play NBA 2K, I've been able to tell you an answer. But now I am just Huey.
I'll tell you the answer. Jordan's still the greatest player of all time. It don't matter if he played 30 years ago,
You know
nigga.
how I know this shit is kicking in? Because I was like, who the fuck is Jordan Steele? I'm like, Jordan Steele, nigga, who is this?
Stems and seeds. Non-athletic, non-sports inclined ass niggas.
No, I just realized that you said Jordan Steele is like S-T-I-L-L, not the last name. I was like, Jordan Steele, nigga. Like, I've never heard of this man. Like, but you know, now that I'm Huey Newton Freeman looking inside from the
I
outside.
murdered all y'all niggas on that motherfucker.
Oh, God, lies.
We can spit the verses right now live.
I made the hook, but live.
The hook was trash. We can spit the verses right now.
If it was trash, why you write the verse?
Nigga, it was my song.
Who hears a trash ass hook?
Nigga, I put the song together. You just put the hook on there.
I'll put a verse on there too.
I came with the beat.
Yeah, you came with the beat.
I put the picture in the profile picture of the song on SoundCloud.
Okay, you put the.
I know that's some bullshit.
You sent me the beat and I came up with the hook and you was like, let's go, let's do this.
My verse was already done though.
Was it already done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might have been already done.
Cause I didn't say shit about Huey Newton in my verse. You and Rod did though.
That's the hook. Outside looking in on these niggas. Huey Freeman.
Even on the Trey Rod.
That's what made the verse so hard. That's what made the hook so hard. Cause we outside looking in on these niggas like who? Huey Freeman.
Who did the hook on the Trey Rod song though?
Rod.
Me.
No, I did the hook on the Trey Rod.
Me.
Yeah, me. I did it. Look, hey lad, we performed Trayvon Martin at their family reunion one year.
Oh my God. Say, please spit the verse.
We in the middle of performing the song. Nigga, I completely forgot every fucking line.
Embarrassed us in front of our whole fucking family.
No, I didn't. Nigga, look.
I'm like, who's this nigga that don't know his own words?
No.
I said, oh, man.
I'm a consummate professional. So I said my first two lines. I freestyled the rest of it. And that's what I do. You know what I mean? So if you didn't know the song prior to us performing it, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? That's how dope I am.
Oh.
I'm sure all of my family members listened to that song before they got there.
It was like, damn, that nigga.
Like,
that nigga
not
did.
the word. They was waiting for your verse too, nigga. Like, hold on, this is the deep voice ass nigga, right?
The baritone.
The
baritone was coming through.
Oh.
Spitting hot fire.
Always.
Man, before I get into the shit that I got written down, man, I just want to bring something that a friend told me about his son, and I just want you to tell me, is his son in the wrong? All right, his son is at a camp.
Mm-hmm.
He dares a nigga. He tell a nigga, yo, I got $20 for you to call the police right now.
Mm-hmm.
Dude pick up the phone, about to call the police. He said, I'm just playing. I don't got $20. The little nigga call the police anyway.
Okay.
Police come to the camp. Everybody blame the nigga's son for it instead of the dude who actually called.
Okay.
Police, right.
Okay.
Nigga's son come home and get a whooping.
Okay.
Not by him, but by his wife.
Okay.
But he was explaining to me how this nigga is wrong and he is not innocent. And I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? Is this the Twilight Zone?
He is not wrong because he didn't make that kid call the police anyway.
And then they blamed him after the fact like he did it. That shows you he wasn't wrong.
He didn't dial number or anything.
Yeah.
Don't we have this thing called free will? He could have. The child could have said,
"Not in my house."
Nah.
Yeah, not in my house.
About,
yeah, they teach voodoo in his house.
I'm talking about outside your house when you're not around, not when you're in the house with your children and you are the disciplinary.
It
guardian,
don't matter. Inside the
house
house
rules usually
house rules.
But when the world.
But when you outside the house and you're not around, and somebody tells your child to do something, he has to use his free will and his thinking mind to say, I ain't gonna do that. No, why? Because my daddy not gonna have
My
it.
son wasn't the one doing. My son was the one encouraging him to do it.
And then he discouraged him.
It don't matter.
I never said it was you, B-Dot, but since you introduced
yourself. It did discourage you. You know why? Because he said, I don't have $20. Now, at that point, the child should have said, oh, well, I ain't doing it then. Because why? He already told him, I don't have the money to give you. Basically, do not dial that number. Do we have to say, do not dial that number for him to say? Because the bet was, I bet you $20 that you won't call the police. He said, okay, on the bet. Then whoever it is, I ain't gonna say your son, says, I don't have $20. At that point, I would have said, well, I ain't betting you then, and hung up the phone.
The man that he betted is a dangerous young man. That's like betting a man that said, you like, hey man, you see that girl with them herpes bumps on her lips? I dare you to kiss her for $20. And he like, okay. You like, oh, I don't got $20. He's like, I'll do it for free. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you.
That's no longer your fault.
Yeah,
I didn't say it was his fault. I never said it was his fault.
Some people just crazy.
I said he was complicit, and his whole thing was he was trying to absolve himself from blame in the whole situation. But no, you are the one that got this shit rolling. You know what I mean? You didn't make the call. So
tough,
now,
That's a
but
tough
look,
line to walk.
when the police came in there, they were looking for my son. They weren't looking for the other guy that actually made the phone call. Somebody had already snitched and said my son.
But it ain't snitching because he ain't do it.
It don't matter.
Right, he didn't dial a number.
Somebody already snitched and said my son is the one that called him. So when the police came in there, they're looking for my son, calling him by name. You know what I'm saying? So you put yourself in that stupid ass situation. You don't have no business
So let me ask
playing
you a
them type of
question.
games
If he would
anyway.
have said, "Man, don't dial that number," and the child dialed it anyway, then at what point would he have absolved himself of the responsibility?
He wouldn't have, because he shouldn't even said it from the jump.
So that's like
Don't even play them
hold
type
on.
of games.
Now we need a time frame. So he says
It
this
ain't no time
12 months
frame.
ago, and
Let
this
me
dude
let
knew-
me ask you a question.
No,
though.
this happened in one whop.
Well,
Let me-
right.
I
What
get
if
it.
he did it 12 months ago? What if he said it 12 months ago and then 12 months later? He
I
did it, it was like
appreciate
the
y'all
signs off.
trying to defend that nigga, but
I got you, nephew.
I got you too, nephew. Look, check this out. So if he said, if the kid said, "Man, I'm gonna dial 911," no, if the kid said, I bet you $20 I'll dial 911," he said, "Okay, cool." And he started down. He said, "I ain't got $20 to bet you," and he dialed it anyway. At what point does he absolve himself?
well, if he didn't start it, then I would have been fine with
So
that.
it's only because he initiated
Yeah.
The conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Why are you talking about this
Help me
stupid shit
understand,
anyway?
B-Dot. Help me understand.
No, why are you even?
I'm still not on your side, B. I love you to death, but
Hey,
because
man.
at some point that you have to be able to absolve yourself of the responsibility of someone else's action.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, basically everything that you
You
do
know what?
when you with someone else will be your fault, because if that person did it and you was with him and you still said don't do it and he did it anyway.
What's the law? What the law say?
Especially if they're your contemporary.
What the law say?
The law says if I tell a nigga jump off a bridge. And
No. I ain't talking about that law.
It's an accessory after the fact. It's an accessory.
No, I'm
to-
talking
But I
about
don't
when.
think he would've
No,
been
it's called.
in court for that,
Example. You riding with your homeboys.
or aiding and abetting.
You riding with your homeboys.
Aiding and
You
abetting.
just sitting in the back seat. You ain't doing shit. They go in, rob the store, come back in the car, y'all drive off. When they get caught, you are going to jail with them, and you getting charged with the same shit, even though you didn't do anything.
But
That's the law.
But if you do jump out, if they say I'm finna rob a bank, you say nah, pull over, and you jump out, you go home, and they don't say, and you don't call nobody, is that still your fault?
If you with them, yeah.
I'm just saying.
So you are.
If you get out the car and run the fuck
If
away,
they leave,
yeah,
before
you
they-
good.
before it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
No, it's
But-
not. You know why? You know it's not.
No. I'm
listen.
saying if you leave and go out the car, you good.
We talking about the law, right?
After the
You
fact.
talking about the law, right?
Yeah.
You knew they was gonna do it. You got out the car before they did it. You knew it, so you're supposed to call somebody. That's your responsibility to call somebody and let them know that that was about to happen.
You might get charged for that, but once they get you in that box,
But I'm
when
just saying.
when you give your testimony, that's gonna absolve you. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
you did get out and
But
leave.
You really don't have a legal obligation.
No, that's
Unless-
right.
unless-
You right.
unless
You
know
right.
somebody
But what
get
happens in
hurt.
that situation?
You know, somebody get hurt, then you did.
But-
have a
No,
legal
but what
obligation.
happened? What usually happens is that's the guy that ends up telling everything.
But that's also the guy who gets charged with accessory after the fact. Because he
And-
knew it.
Right, in exchange for his testimony, because that's usually the nigga that's gonna tell everything.
And that's why the Fifth Amendment exists.
And even though he said don't do it, and they did it anyway. See, I'm trying to get back to where we're talking about whoever this guy is at camp. I don't know why. Whoever this guy is at camp.
Whoever this
What
knucklehead is.
Right. What
yeah.
I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to get the understanding is, at the point that he says don't do it, and they do it anyway,
Yeah.
isn't he absolved of that responsibility?
How many times does he have to tell that kid not
Not
to
to
do
do
it?
it.
Why did you tell him to do it from the
But
first
this
place?
is not a dog.
But he took it back.
No,
his slave.
that's what I'm trying to get my son to understand.
But I
You
understand
shouldn't have
where you're
even
coming
said it from the jump. You aren't guilty of making
Okay,
a phone
so
call.
you're asking your own question. He said it, right?
Right.
Got it started. So why can't he stop it and make it stop? You get what I'm saying? If he can start it, he can stop it.
No,
Yes, he can. You
no.
can't give him the responsibility of starting something and not give him the responsibility
That's
of
the
stopping it.
whole lesson.
This is gonna make
Don't
an
even-
awesome clip.
Don't even put yourself in this situation from the
I
jump.
get what you're saying, but at some point he has to be responsible as a young man and say, you know what, don't do that.
And we're
if he-
simply asking,
and once
what
he
is that
says-
point, B-Dot?
And once he says don't do that, I believe his responsibility is over.
No,
he
because
can't make a
but
kid
no,
stop doing something he don't want to do.
No, you shouldn't even. You shouldn't have even started
Okay,
on
well,
this
let's
path.
reverse it. Let's reverse it.
Hold up, but let me say this though. Let me say this. when the police came, who did they come looking for?
I get that. I understand that. That's
But
because
it
So what he should have done, what I told him, the only way you could have absolved yourself at this point was that when you seen that boy make that phone call, because y'all both did it together, even though you didn't call, you was sitting there right there with him, laughing and kikiing and all this shit. When he went and made that phone call, when you seen him actually call the police, you should have got up and told an adult what happened. And then you would have been good. But because you didn't, now they think you did it. So now the police think you did it. Now the band camp administrators think you did it. And they got to interview, they about to interview the guy that actually did it. I said, what do you think he going to tell them happened? He going to tell them you did it. That
or he going to tell them that you told him to do it. Like he don't know what the fuck to do by himself.
get what you're saying. He should have been in that situation. But I'm trying to understand, how can he control someone else's actions? That's all I'm trying to do.
I'm not saying
exactly. There you go. He can't.
He can control his actions.
So he can't be punished for not.
No, I'm gonna give you a good example. He could have told the kid to do it, and the kid could have chose himself not to do it. Then we wouldn't be having this conversation, because why? That child has his own self will too. Right. He has his own ability to say no or yes. He knows right from wrong. He knew it was wrong when he dialed the number. So if he would have said, "I bet you $20 to call 911 or call the police," and that kid would say, "No, I ain't doing that." He still started the conversation, but the child chose not to dial the number.
Right.
Okay. So at the point that he says, "No, I'm not going to dial," so you saying your son is all if he chooses not to do it. Right? He's good. If that child chooses not to dial a number off his own free will, the same way your son said, "Oh, I ain't got it," that child could have said, "Well, I ain't doing it," out of his own free will, and we still would be having this conversation. So you agree that his free will got us in this problem.
Hey, I'm a
not using his own mind and his own common sense.
See, that's what
sum up what Slick said. Hold on, let me sum up what Slick said. This little nigga gonna grow up to be a snitch.
Who, my son?
I summed it up. No, the other little boy. He gonna snitch on y'all. It's gonna be his idea to do something, and he gonna snitch on every single one of his friends when y'all get caught.
I get your point, Peter. Trust me, I get it. No. He shouldn't have been in that situation anyway. Period. Especially as a little black boy and the cat calling the police. I get it.
B-Dot got a good, because honestly, that teaches him to identify snitches and not be around them no more. Because that little boy is a snitch.
Not only that, it also teaches him you can't play the same games with everybody.
Yeah.
You gotta learn these folks first. You get what I'm saying? You gotta learn your circle. You gotta learn who in your circumference, and you gotta make sure your square is solid. You can't just play with folks just because y'all folks.
Rika said everybody's going to jail.
Right.
No, when he came home, because I had got off work before he came home, and when my wife brought him home, everybody, I told Wiz, like, my wife came in first, then my daughter, then my son. Everybody got their head down, looking at the ground, not saying nothing. I'm like, what the fuck going on? I'm like, Messiah, come holler at me. He come out there, "Dad, I just don't want to go to jail. Dad, I'm going to jail. I just don't want to go to jail. I don't want him to take me to jail." He crying and shit.
Man, you gotta love that innocence.
I'm like, nigga, you not going to jail.
But why they scared of him and he didn't dial the number is my question. Where we at with that? When does another person who has free will to do or not to do gets punished?
What happened was somebody said that he did it. So that's why the onus was on him to kind of either explain that you didn't do it or kind of clear everything up. But the police is not doing no investigation on that. If somebody if somebody tell the police, okay, this person did it, nigga, my job is done. It's time to go punish this nigga. Huh?
Miss Mix-a-Lot say, "What's good, fellas?"
What's good, Miss Mix-a-Lot? Talking about bad kids.
Before you get to that, you know the day Friday the 13th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the reasons why Friday the 13th is bad luck? Give you a couple of reasons. Sure Friday is considered the day that Cain killed Abel.
Really?
Friday is considered the day that Adam and Eve went in and got the forbidden fruit.
Damn.
Friday the 13th is the day that the Knights Templar was invited to dinner and was slaughtered by King Pope somebody on 1307.
That's kind of a good thing, though. Right?
So there's some Christian shit there.
Right. But Right. It's on pretty much on that.
I like how you connected those dots real quick, B-Dot.
Friday the 13th. Judas was the 13th guest invited to Jesus' dinner.
Hold up. Didn't we have 12 disciples? Who was the extra nigga that was in there that wasn't a disciple?
Exactly. Judas didn't come.
Oh, he didn't come.
One of them didn't come, but it was 13 guests that was invited.
Judas ain't... Well, I'm sitting up here talking about that.
13. It was 13 of them at the table. He had 12 guests. He was the third. Jesus was 13th person.
And Judas wasn't there.
No, Judas was there,
Oh.
but he was. Got 12 disciples and yourself. That makes 13 people.
Yeah.
Judas was the 13th person.
And it's 13 letters in rabbit hole.
Did you just sit there and count them?
No, I did not count them. It's probably not 13.
It's 10 letters.
I just want to throw that out there. I just want to throw that out there.
I mean, 11 letters.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there. I can go deep down the rabbit hole.
See, we
could end up.
conspiracy.
Hey, you want to go deep, man? My wife was born on Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Bruh, come on, bro.
I said, that explains a lot.
Was she really born on Friday the 13th?
Absolutely.
Slick said you should have let him think he was going to jail for a second.
Hey, look.
I still have.
Y'all West Side folks is different.
I still have. Like,
No. When you got a kid that age, I remember my little cousin stole a piece of gum from the store. I walked to the store, all my little cousins. We come back. My little cousin got gum he eating. My older cousin's like, did you buy him candy or something? I'm like, no. She's like, where you get all this gum from? I said, oh, he might have got it from the store. So she's like, oh, he stealing. Man, she walked all the way back to the store. I'm following behind her like, yo, Cookie, just let him have the gum. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm only like 13 though. I'm like, yo, we about to go all the way back. She's like, no, because I got to teach him about stealing. You know, and you know the gas station has that little glass where, you know, behind the counter. She was like, come here. Y'all know he stole from y'all? You know what I'm saying? So the dude, like, come and peek out from the glass and open the door. And she opened that bitch and pushes her. That pushes his ass in and closed that motherfucker like you in jail now. You know what I'm saying? This nigga went crazy, nigga. And then I asked him about it later. I was like, yo, you remember that time your mama put you in behind the gas station? He was like, yo, my nigga, I thought that she was about to leave. She's like, I seen you there, nigga. I was like, yo, I know everybody ain't about to leave me here with these. He was like, yo, I thought I was in jail for real. Said, I ain't never stole nothing ever since.
But that's what I'm talking about, bro. Like,
I'm talking about he went crazy. His mom like, we about to leave you here and we ain't coming back.
Slick says it's all about lessons.
Look, bro, I have given my son at least 15,825 speeches about going to jail, the cemetery, or prison. You know what I'm saying?
As a black man.
I have.
I started
What's up,
with
King?
So it's in his mind
Right.
that I don't give a fuck if I'm 11 years old. I can go to jail. My daddy said if I stay on this path, if I'm doing this type of shit, I'm going to go to jail.
And that's what a dad should do. I give you that.
In his mind, he thought he was going to have to go to jail, but that's why.
Okay. I'm done with it. Hey.
Shout out to King Yoshi in the
No,
building.
I think both of y'all got valid points. My thing is more so about what I'm trying to instill in him. Don't put yourself in that type of situation.
100. I agree. Don't even put yourself in this type of situation. We won't even have this type of conversation.
You know what makes
conversation.
me proud is, you know, when you have those conversations and then I'm out somewhere and you see something that's out of place and I'm like, Aaliyah, why you think they dress like that and do that? Because they don't have daddies? Precisely.
Wow.
I was like, and you have a daddy, right? She's like, well, some of the girls at my school have daddies. I said, they don't live with them.
Right,
you know
right.
I'm just gonna be plain and simple. I said, your daddy live with you and your daddy be on you because your daddy cares.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, but you always mean to me. I said, it's not mean. I want you to do this so that you can end up here. I said, you see those people underneath the bridge? I mean, we got a homeless problem where I live at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they live in the woods and everything. I seen somebody going down the street with a shopping cart. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They white folks, so nobody cares. They just let them do what they want to do. I was like, yo, you know how they got there? I said, some of these people could have went all the way to college. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's something that their parents told them that they ignored. And that's how you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
Damn, Wiz.
It's always
I
like
get
that.
that, but at the same time, some of them have been to college and have gotten degrees and have done certain things, and their mind snapped or they got on drugs. Or,
yeah, you don't know that. You don't know that situation.
That could also be the case, but at the same time, my only job is to influence my daughter towards the right path. In
Propaganda.
way I see
Propaganda. I ain't mad at
propaganda.
Good propaganda. I'm not mad at good propaganda. I promise you, I'm not.
Slick say, see, they get with their little friends and get fucked up. Your little friends will snitch on your ass to save theirs.
Right, exactly. So that's why I'm glad it happened that way. Come like, look, these niggas already done snitched on you. You didn't even do it.
Right.
And they done snitched on you, bro. You know.
I was telling him, and that's how his son learns that these aren't my friends.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what he said earlier. He should have got up and told. Now you know I can get up and tell because y'all ain't my friends anyway. Ain't gonna be no animosity.
My wife spoils my son. You know what I mean? And it's kind of my job to undo all that shit. And it's hard.
It's all of our jobs.
And
yeah.
Like I tell my son, like how you tell yours. I'm like, boy, I done been your daddy every day of your life in your face. You know what I mean? You don't know what it's like to grow up with one parent. You haven't experienced that. And hopefully you won't never have to experience that. But a lot of the people at your school, they growing up like that. They don't have all of these amenities. You got every game you could ever have.
Right.
You got every pair of shoes that I never had. I swear to God, he got like 100. Got like 100 pair of shoes. You know nobody in this neighborhood got video games except y'all. I be like, nigga, what the fuck? Look, so like, and I hate to say it, but he got a friend, right? His friend living in the neighborhood with us. When his friend come over, this nigga drinking sodas, going in and doing whatever he want. And he come and sitting with me like, can I play the game with you? And I'm like, Messiah, at some point, you got to recognize, bro, like when people are trying to take advantage of you. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's cool. You know, you want to have friends over because you done kind of lived a sheltered life to a certain extent. But nigga, this nigga coming over here trying to play the game with me, trying to sit up under me. I'm like, I ain't that nigga friend. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, I'm just venting right now. But it just pissed me off to see the little boy trying to take advantage of my son and all the shit he got. You know what I mean? I'm like, and you don't even recognize that. You don't even realize that because you got such a big heart. You know what I mean? But you didn't grow up like how we grew up.
I know. And do you think that we raising them to be too kind-hearted? My daughter's the same. Where I got to be like, yo, what happened to your money? Oh, I bought, what's their name, something. I'd be like, the girl that don't like you? I said, why? Why you buy her something? It's like, oh, because she said she'll be my friend. I said, what?
Right.
I said, do you believe that? She said, I don't know. I said, what? I said, you don't pay for friends. Friends don't. We don't pay for friends.
Yeah. I think it's because they don't go out as much as like when we were kids. Slick Slot said, not to undo mothers and fathers, parent different. Everybody's role is significant.
Oh yeah, me and B and I was talking about that in the car.
Yeah. Slick says, my son till he left, every time he got in trouble, he came to me and said, Mama, I messed up. So I guess you gotta
You're the right person to come to.
Right.
Definitely the right person.
No, that's 100. That's on point.
As he should have, yeah.
Right. The thing that we were talking about when you were saying that damn, what was you just saying? Shit.
I said,
and Lab has caught a contact.
No,
not yet.
Not yet.
Talking about taking advantage of my son.
Right. I think that what happens why we were so different because we were outside all the time. We were outside as children. It's just a different environment when you are interacting with people. You get to know them better. These children are not outside like we used to be. You think about when we played football and basketball, did all this stuff that we did as children, and we knew, oh, here come Raheem, man. Yeah. Every time he come down here play ball, he always don't even play right. You know what I'm saying? We knew this already. You don't have that.
You acted accordingly.
Right. You don't have that interaction. Man, y'all keep the ball from him because all he going to do is just keep the ball. He ain't going to never pass. We knew what to say. Yeah. We knew how to play properly because we would interact with this guy or this girl all the time. So we knew what type of person they were where the interaction does not occur today. So they don't know. They like your daughter say, I don't know, because she don't know. She only interacts with this person at school.
I'm giving even more.
Let me piggyback on that real quick.
I want to piggyback on it.
Let me piggyback my version of it. The kids, and this is what I see living in Pittsburgh the past 12 years because Pittsburgh is the hood. It's the hood of Atlanta. If y'all didn't know, it ain't the only hood, but it's the hood. Mechanicsville, all the same, right next to each other. So what I see in Pittsburgh, it's a lot of kids growing up the way I grew up, in poverty, single parent household. Mama got to work all the time, so you kind of free to be influenced by whoever. And when I notice it a lot, like when I take my son to the park, I'm sitting there watching him the whole time. My son is 11 years old, but I sit there and watch him. You know what I mean? Like I don't take my son to the park and go home. Right. I've never done that in my entire life. I sit there.
Right.
And the other kids' parents ain't there. They got to walk from 2 blocks down the street, and you know what I mean? They can, I remember one time I brought Masai. He brought all this Pokemon. I'm like, Masai, why are you bringing all of these Pokeballs? These other kids don't got no goddamn Pokeballs. You know what I mean? He get there, their eyes get wide. So it's time to go home. Masai came with 10 Pokeballs. He going back with 5. I'm like, Masai, that's why I had you count them before you got out this car. What the other 5 at?
Right.
I asked the other kids. They said they didn't know what happened to them. They didn't see him. I'm like, Masai, you only been playing with these little niggas. Go get your other 5 Pokeballs. But Dad, they said they don't got them. So I got about the car. I'm like, look, bruh, give me the Pokeballs. We don't know. I'm like, look, bruh, give me the Pokeballs, nigga. He digging in his
Damn, you called him a nigga?
Yeah, I called him a nigga.
Oh, shit. You said, let me speak that Pittsburgh language.
I didn't call him a nigga at first. But I'm like, man, this is like a younger version of myself.
Right. You called him a nigga, and that nigga was like, oh, you must be from here.
So the nigga started digging in his
he
pocket.
from Pittsburgh.
He from Pittsburgh.
But look what the little nigga say. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. So I'm telling him, but my point is, it's still kids growing up like how we did. They outside all the time. They parents not around. You know what I mean? Masai's not growing up like that. His kids ain't growing up like that.
Well, let me piggyback on what you was on both of y'all.
Okay.
Now that they talk about a mental, you know what I'm saying, learning mentally and socially. I'm talking physically also.
Right.
My kids stay inside all the time.
Right.
And then when I take them to my brother's house, these kids go outside every day. Even the 3-year-old can lift herself up and do pull-ups and push-ups on her knuckles. You know what I'm saying? And then it's my kids. And my daughter's like, Daddy, help me. I said, oh, hell no. Look at you, weak motherfucker. Well, you be like, God damn. But they don't ever go outside. I'm about to build a jungle gym in my backyard just because I'm like, you guys don't get no exercise.
Right.
The 3-year-old.
That's how I feel when I take my kids over Rye House.
Look,
yeah. Ron kids are like Spartans.
I believe that. This is Sparta.
Yeah. These are the strongest kids in Atlanta. I promise you.
Slick says we don't want them to go without like we may have in our minds. Ms. Mixmont said, I love these topics and I love to hear you all's perspective. Fathers are so important.
Thank you.
He was doing nigga shit. Then B-Dot got the deep ass voice and scared all them kids.
I did. But I knew that was gonna happen.
So I did. Mufasa voice. You know
what you about to say though, lad? What you about to say?
I was about to say that but the difference between, and I know we have to go back to our perspective of how we went outside, and I could go back to my perspective how I let my kids go outside because I think my oldest son is old as you. Yeah, my oldest son like 36, 37. So even when I let them go outside, I would let them go outside to a point, and then I would have to reel them back in. But I didn't want them to be sheltered kids. You get what I'm saying? Because sheltered kids don't know a lot of things. Like my kids jump ramps and stuff like that. They used to do a lot of stuff that a lot of kids don't do today. But that's because I said, hey, go outside, man. They had games. Now they ain't have every game, but they had games. I'm like, go outside. They needed to go outside.
At that time, when you said go outside, did you have, what's the word, parental paranoia?
No.
See, that's the problem with me.
I didn't have, because I guess it was different because my kids wasn't necessarily ever raised in an apartment complex or they was always in a house. always.
I got a house,
With
but
a
see, I
yard.
don't got a fence back in the back.
Yeah,
backyard.
it with a backyard fenced in. So
Yeah.
I guess that was the difference. But even so, I would let them go outside. I would even let them go to the park sometimes by themselves when we stay close to the park or to the pool. And a lot of times, and I'm not gonna say my kids was super strong like or anything like that. They had their weak points, and they would go to the pool and come back running. One such. I said, well, why go back and get it? Go get it. And I'm thinking how I would do, because you know. But I got to realize that these kids are different. They're raised a little different. I didn't have no parental guidance when I stayed. Even though I didn't know my dad, but my mom wasn't very, very often. She'd be gone for 2 weeks in a row. So I'm getting up, cooking, doing all my stuff at 10, 11 years old. So when I got older, you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm all, what? Go inside. Street lights. Who going to hide when street lights come on? Like I'm different.
You was just a fucking renegade.
Look, my grandmother would try to discipline me and say, you need to come in the house when street lights come on.
Okay. That was a suggestion.
Okay.
If it wasn't a suggestion, you would have came in when it was street lights came on. I promise you.
Look, it was a suggestion, and I made it sometimes. But if it was fun going on, I'm not gonna come out in the house when the fun just getting started. No.
No.
But she did remember that most of the time I was doing my own thing. You get what I'm saying? When I was at my mama's house, it was really no parental guidance going on there. You get what I'm saying? Like, I came in the house when I wanted to. I had friends over. I did whatever I wanted to do. So it really was. So when I went over her house, it was a shift. You had to shift. So a lot of these kids got to learn how to shift. They got to know that when they outside, everybody outside is not going to be like your family or your brother and your sister. And they don't know that yet because they don't interact with these people yet. And that's the problem.
It's also part of the problem too is the grandmas. Like the grandmas today.
Grandmas are the problem.
The grandmas today.
Okay.
Are.
Let's clarify.
No, yeah, the grandmas are the problem.
Hold on, let me say.
Grandmas are the problem.
Slick said, and they ain't not gonna mess with him because his daddy don't play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, deep voice said, times have changed. Raising children now gives me anxiety. Forever, is that Mrs. Love?
Mrs. Mix-a-Lot. Miss Mix-a-Lot.
Oh, okay, Mrs. Forever, Mrs.
Put the
Mix-a-Lot.
green dragon down.
Kids have to learn their audience.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. They have to learn their audience.
Now, we only got about 5 or 10 more minutes.
Bro, you cut me off.
Go ahead. I just wanted to read those.
I lost my train of thought. But to what this ain't what I was about to say, but like to Lab's point, I experienced kind of like I experienced like the full spectrum of parenting. When I was young, both of my parents were in the military. My mom was in the Air Force. My father was in the Army. We were living in different countries and all of this, and both of them were extremely responsible. And then they got divorced. Well, they got hooked on drugs before then, and then they got divorced. And then I had one parent, and then that parent got on hard drugs, and then I had no parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of experienced, living with one parent, living with both parents in the house, and then living with no parents,
Mm-hmm.
nigga. You know what I mean? And part of the reason why, through the ups and downs of my marriage, I went out of my way to try and make it work, because I remember that experience when I had two responsible parents. And that was the best shit ever. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how they get all of us, because when I was married, that was my thing. I didn't know my father, so I wanted to make sure that my children knew their father. You get what I'm saying? I wanted to because I know that feeling. Even though it really didn't affect me much, but I still know that feeling. So I wanted to make sure that my children knew who their father was. They could point him out in a crowd of 500,000 and knew who he was. You get what I'm saying? So that's why in my marriage, I stayed too. I got married young because I wanted my children to make sure that they knew out of a shadow of a doubt, that guy right there, my dad. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
And to piggyback on that point, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up. That's not the only reason I'm still married, because
but that's the main reason. That's one of the main ones.
My wife. And you know, we've had a great relationship. You know, even though we had ups and downs, um, she done been there with me, bro. You know what I mean? She done, you know, held me down and loved me in a way that very few people have. You know, and so yeah, that's not the only reason. It was a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because I do remember. You know, I remember those times when both of my parents were there, in love with each other. You know, going on vacations, just having a great time. I wanted my son to experience that, but I also wish, in a weird kind of way, that my son could feel some of the struggle that we had to go through. You know, living with no parents, and, you know, having the lights cut off and having to live in shelters and
trying to figure out what you gonna
seeing your parents. Look, nigga, like, I'm gonna be real. I ain't never told nobody this shit. I ain't never put it out, but I remember when I was about. I'm gonna say this, and I'm sure I said I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna share, man. I'm trying to open up a little bit more. So I said I was probably about 11 years old, and you know, my mama, you know, have her friends over, whatever, yada yada, and they were in their room doing their thing, which we already know what they was doing. They was smoking dope, and so somehow the door came open, and I'm sitting there, and I look, and I see my mama with a crack pipe, nigga. You know what I mean? Like, my mama now, you know, is an accomplished author, minister, international, you know, evangelist. Like, she's crazy right now. But back then, nigga, you know what I mean? Like, my mama got the craziest testimony. But I seen her with a crack pipe smoking it. You know what I mean? And that shit broke my heart, bro. And I told my mother right then and there, I said, I hate you. I told her that, and when she gives her testimony, she always say, you know, the main thing that made me turn my life around was when my son looked me in my eye and told me that he hated me. And I didn't understand then that I didn't hate my mother. I hated what she was doing to herself, you know? And I didn't understand addiction as a child. So I just blamed it on my mama.
I hate that you did this at the end, because now I got plenty of questions.
Well, I'm finna say I have the similar story. When it was the difference was when the door cracked open for my mom, she wasn't only doing drugs, but she was getting her coochie ate. So you got to deal with that at the same time. I never told her, but my whole demeanor changed.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, man, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I wanted. I really was gonna do what I wanted to do now. Look, I already was a terror when I was a child. I knew I was a terror, but I really became a terror after that. I didn't say I hate you. She may know now that I said it, but she didn't know to this day that I knew that I seen that. But like, my whole demeanor changed. It was nothing she could tell me to do that I would do. Like, she couldn't say clean up the house. I'm like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Like,
well, hold on, let me say something, because I'm not trying to take away from what you said, Lab. But like, I done walked in on my daddy eating ass or whatever the fuck he was eating. I was young, so I don't know what the fuck was going on. And that traumatized the shit out of me, but
but that's your dad, though.
And I've seen that. Like, you know how many times I walked in?
How would you feel
with
your mom doing it?
I walked in on my grandparents doing it one time.
Yeah, as a band group, they was married though, right?
Of course, but it's just like.
But you ain't walk in with your mom doing it with a rando.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, nah. Jesus Christ, this got really dark, huh?
But it's not dark. It's a reflection of how we are and how we parent. While we try to make sure our children don't have to go down them paths that we do. A lot of black fathers get a bad rap, but they don't realize how much black fathers sacrifice for their children. How much black fathers sacrifice to make sure that their kids are good in any kind of way, in any capacity. Black fathers do take care of their children, regardless of what the narrative is.
And a lot of times it takes a while for those kids to really realize that, damn, you is
right.
My nigga, man.
Like, mama get everything.
Oh yeah, mama gets that from the jump.
But daddy get the minimum required by law.
See, that's not my
going
house.
back to be that, man. So
my kids.
I just have a question. From that period that you told your mom that you hated her, did you ever have a regret for that before you found out that it was a pivotal moment in her change, and then we gonna go. I just wanted to ask that.
That's a great question. No, I did because while I was a kid, like I said, I didn't understand addiction the way I understand it now. So I blamed it. That was the last thing I said. I blamed everything on my mother. If I understood addiction differently, then yeah, I would have felt bad, for telling my mother that I hate her. You know what I mean? That's like the worst thing you can tell your parent.
Yeah.
And but to know that that was like a catalyst for her changing her life. I mean, look at her now. She's a leader. And so I'm extremely proud, even though it's after the fact, and that wasn't why I was telling her that. You know what I mean? Shit. But yeah, great question. But no, I didn't feel no regret because I didn't understand addiction and how it works. And, because like everybody know somebody that was addicted to crack at some point. But nobody wants to be on crack, bro.
You would be probably surprised. I won't name them on air. My friend circle and just how many of us have specifically a mother that was on specifically crack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And they're doing fine right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like that was just.
But now, most of them aren't doing fine. My father, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be quiet about my parents. My father never kicked a habit, and so my father died in his sleep after he overdosed on crack cocaine. I had to identify the body, do all these things, get the autopsy, and the autopsy said he died from cocaine intoxicity, which is overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so most people don't get better, don't get well, don't overcome their addiction. They succumb to it, and bittersweet. Father's Day coming up. I was listening to when I left Wiz. I don't know why I'm just being so vulnerable today, but when I left Wiz, I went over Wiz's house a couple days ago, late at 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we kicked it for a minute, and when I left, I don't know why, but I started playing that new Meek Mill with Friday. Mm-hmm. Proud of Me, where Meek Mill was talking about his dad, and Friday was talking about his dad. Both of them passed away. And whenever I hear a song talking about my dad, of course I'm going to think about my father. You know what I mean? And so I cried all the way home. I played that. I don't know why I tortured myself, but I played that motherfucker back to back to back to back because the song hit me. That song hit me in such a way. I'm like, it was like therapy. You know what I mean? I was able to cry and open up. You know what I mean? And just release that shit. And but if you done lost anybody, a father especially, listen to that "Proud of Me" by Meek Mill and Friday, bro. I swear to God, that shit hits you differently. You know what I mean?
It could be any. I get what you're saying. A lot of times people don't realize how much songs play a pivotal part in their life to bring out, things that they might be repressing. Like for some reason this week, I had an aunt named Angie who me and her was tight. Like me and her was tight. She would take me everywhere with her. You know what I'm saying? We would hang out, and Prince was her favorite artist. And so for all this last few days, all I've been listening to was Prince. Like I literally could not change the fucking channel. Like all day at work in the office, I'm listening to Prince all day. And I was like, damn, like her spirit was on me. Like when I get ready to change her, she was like, nah, I want to hear this song. You get what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. I didn't cry, but I thought I was deep. I was thinking deeply, like where we would go over here, how we would do this, like how I met my cousin's dad with her, like, and how funny he was. Like I was just thinking about everything, and songs play that party.
It's hitting your ass nuts.
Right.
You heard the way he said songs, bro. That vibrato. Hey, man, that's real, bro.
That's true.
That's real. That's real,
true.
bro. Like I had to stop myself, Lab, just a few minutes ago when I was talking about my pops, man. But that's real, bro.
Oh, let me get a couple of comments. Miss Mixlot said, "Your grandparents though, Wiz." You walked in on.
Man, Granddad walked to that door and goddamn got me the fuck out of there. Dick swinging and everything.
Come on, bro.
He got me the fuck up out of there, nigga. I said,
well, at least
I said, where's breakfast? He said, breakfast? Get the fuck out.
At least he was like my uncle who said, "You want some of this?"
Oh, no. Whoa. Whoa. I've been like, who? Whoa.
Look, Slick says, "Beat out, I'm a damn grandmama." What? Talking about when you said it was grandparents' fault.
They didn't let me finish.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I was like, you did say something about grandparents.
Yeah. Slick says, "All the damage from drugs and alcohol still is an issue we deal with, and we never wanted our kids to know that life." Slick say, "That's the power of music and memories."
Yeah.
True.
Can I say this last piece before we go? About the grandparents that Wiz cut me off on. I was saying it's the grandparents' fault because when I was growing up, you know, my grandmother, especially her house, was like the epicenter of everything that we did as a family. Yeah. And every holiday we came together, you know what I'm saying? Damn near every weekend we spend the night over there, or our cousins spend the night with us. But then when grandma died, man, that shit was over with. You know what I'm saying? And not just for my family, for a lot of families. You know, all of those traditions and mores are gone, you know, when grandma dies. Because the new grandma is like 39, 38. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we don't have great young grandmothers. I'm just saying for a lot of our families, all of those traditions went by the wayside. And we don't come together no more. So now when our kids are growing up, we're not raising our kids with all their cousins. I grew up with all my cousins. You know what I mean? Every weekend, we spend the night over there. They spend the night over here. We at grandma's house spending the night. But our families were all together, like one big nuclear family. When grandma died,
this nigga phone is fucking recording every fucking
when grandma died, I'm just saying, my point was.
What?
Tell him, Siri. That ain't Siri. What's that nigga name?
Slick is a great, Slick and Miss Mixlot are great grandmothers. I've seen them do their grandma duties, and they are good grandmothers. So I don't want us to lump all, and then you did say not all, B-Dot. Let's get that clear. B-Dot did say not all. But there are some great grandmothers out there that do a great job raising their grandkids. I've had the pleasure of meeting a couple of them. So, and then we're talking about younger, 45, 50 years old. I guess you could consider that young nowadays as a grandmama. Because my grandmama was like 70. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. I think a lot of the dynamics when we were raised are different. Not only the family dynamic, but also the neighborhood dynamic. Because you remember when we were younger, the neighborhood kind of raised us too. Like, we could go outside, but we couldn't go off that block. That's how I was in my neighborhood.
Apartments, yeah. My mama, my mama can't see you.
Right.
It's problems.
You could go outside, but don't go off this block until you got older. When you start going to the next block and all that stuff. But generally, the neighborhood raised you. I know when I was over my great grandma's house on the west side of Chicago, if I couldn't get nothing to eat there, I could go down the street and get something to eat. You get what I'm saying? It wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be a show out. Oh, I got to feed it. It wouldn't be nothing like that. If I'm over there, the first thing she gonna say is, "Yeah, you want something to eat?" Oh no. That's what all parents. Oh, in my neighborhood.
Now, my homies will feed me. My homies be like, "Hey, man, you want to come in and get something to eat?"
Right.
But moms ain't offering no food to unless you already
have that.
Now after you already know me, like fourth mom, you know what I'm saying? Like I still go to her house on July 4th. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because she be like, "Yo, nigga, why you ain't come to July 4th?" Like, you know I got all this food over there, right? I'm like, you know I'm gonna be there every year. Come on now. Shout out to I ain't gonna say her name, but shout out to fourth mom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You better speak on my nana.
I say that, but I already
my
did
nana
that.
do. Okay.
Slick says I did too, B-Dot, but these fucking baby mamas with these kids now, you gotta chase the moms and kids just to see them, but they want to call when they need shit.
Oh my God. Look, I'm gonna close this out. Look, when you was talking about bad grandmothers and, you know what I'm saying, lack of parents, having one parent, two parents, man, it's always the grandparents that come to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my parents was together for a long time, but when I think of a healthy couple, my grandparents, they had a house. I stayed in apartments my whole life. They had a house. So when I moved with my grandparents, I get off, I come out the school bus, I come in the house. The kitchen is right there. My grandma was like, the food is ready.
Right.
Put your stuff in the room and come and eat. Every day after school. She knows what time I get there. The food is ready. Go wash your hands, put your stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's what really saves, you know what I'm saying, children. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. It was nothing like walking in my grandmama's house who had central heating and air.
Oh.
That was the first place I felt central heating and air because in Chicago, a lot of houses don't have air conditioning. I walk in that house, throw my bags by the door, go lay on that bed.
You feel like a real kid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And my granddaddy be sitting at the chair watching stories.
He ain't doing nothing.
And he said, what you doing, Leon? I said, I just got home from school, buddy. Because we call him buddy. He was like, all right, well, when you cool down and get you a sandwich, come over here and play these dominoes.
Come on now.
Or come play some chess with me. So I get it. Grandma's house was the best place to be.
Yeah, you feel me? That's why everybody should strive to have a grandma's house. You should, I mean, you might be a parent right now, but you got to be thinking this got to be grandma's house. You know what I'm saying? Wiz, you got to bust the bubble with your kids soon, because when they get out,
they're going to be like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Pat beat out on the back.
For what?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You got to chase the moms. Okay, you already said that.
Yeah, I already said
All right, let's close, man. Father's Day.
He left out to pat me on the back, though.
I did pat you on the back.
No, I said Lab left
No,
out.
it just happened. It just went up.
Oh.
Yeah.
What we talking about, fathers?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this weed plant again. The males. You know, when you go buy seeds, it's a lot of feminized seeds, and everybody's inclined to get them. He was choking. He said your lungs. He said you got these baby ass lungs. You got them infant lungs, right? The wow lungs.
Oh, if that's the case, don't pat me on the back. I don't need no pat on the back.
You need a pat on the back. Let me make sure your lungs is clear. Clear his chest out. All right, you know what I'm saying? Now, you might be inclined to get feminized seeds, you know, because we need the females. You know, the females bear the fruits. That's what everything. Mammals, reptiles, plants, except seahorses. But the females bear the fruit, right? So, people are more inclined to get feminized seeds so you don't have to weed through the males. Oh, gosh, do we hate the males? Yeah, I said this last week. Do we hate the men? It's like society. It's almost like it mirrors society. Like, we don't hate them, but get them out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the males in the cannabis world dictate for the offspring the changing of the environment. So say you got them from Europe and you move them to Jamaica. The males are what acclimate, what takes in the data. Oh, nigga, it's hot out. It's hot as fuck out here. I'm gonna have to tell the kids. Basically. You know what I'm saying? So the next offspring comes out, and now there's more that's able to withstand the environment, able to withstand extreme temperatures or droughts or, you know, things like that. The males are essential. Just like they say the males are essential in raising the kids. Jesus Christ. It ain't Sunday yet. But males are essential in all walks of life. I mean, in order for you to get where you need to go, I understand feminism is where it's at. We need the females. The females bear the fruit. We don't got weed without the females.
Right.
But we don't got good weed without the males. You high yet? Turn it. Right. Yeah. Turn it up. 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 I'm rolling backward and rolling up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. High nigga. Like the society nigga. Told the script of values. I don't need a
them anyway. I promise I'm fine with some brownies in me. Break the knob off the sound, please. Drown out all the bullshit. Out loud in the brown. Leave calming down all the shooters. I keep that hit it with me, watch me turn it up. If my niggas with me, then we turn it up. Did you miss a nigga never turning up?